You know, when I first stepped into retirement, I thought I was ready for everything. I'd spent 40 years working, saving, investing, doing all the right things. I thought retirement would be a calm ocean, a place to rest after the storms of a busy life. But then came that letter, the one from my IRA, reminding me about something called an RMD, required minimum distributions. It sounded like a fine print punishment for saving too much, a rule meant to trip me up just when I thought I was finally free. And let me tell you, that first year I was nervous. I'd heard the stories too. Be careful, they said. Those RMDs will wreck your retirement. The tax man's coming for your nest egg. It felt like I was being told to fear the very thing I had worked my whole life to build. But after more than a decade of living in retirement, through the ups, the down markets, the tax seasons, the quiet mornings, the unexpected bills, and the grandkids' laughter, I can tell you the truth from my own life. RMDs aren't the monster people make them out to be. They're not the big bad wolf of retirement. They're just rules to navigate. Once you understand them, they stop being a threat and start becoming an ally. When I turned 70, I used to imagine RMDs as a shadow waiting to jump out and swallow my savings. Friends told me horror stories: huge tax bills, rising Medicare costs, Social Security clawbacks. It was like a campfire tale told by anxious retirees. But the truth is that fear is outdated. The world has changed since those days, and the rules have quietly changed in our favor. Back in 2017, folks had to start taking RMDs at 70 and a half. That meant the moment you hit your early 70s, you were forced to start pulling money out whether you needed it or not. It was rigid, unforgiving, and stressful. But then came the Secure Acts, first in 2019, then again in 2023, and they changed everything. The age moved to 72, then 73, and soon, in 2033, it will rise to 75. That's not just a bureaucratic adjustment. That's freedom. That's time to plan, time to give, time to grow your money wisely before you're required to touch it. For me, that meant I could enjoy my early 70s traveling, volunteering, and spending time with my family without the pressure of forced withdrawals. That small change gave me back control, and it didn't stop there. The world of retirement became more forgiving in other ways too. The standard deduction, that quiet little line on your tax return, has more than doubled since 2017. A married couple over 65 can now shield almost $47,000 of income before paying a single penny in federal tax. Think about that. $47,000 of breathing room. That's groceries, that's plane tickets to see your grandkids, that's peace of mind. The tax brackets themselves widened and softened. What used to be taxed at 25% might now be just 22. The old top bracket of 39.6% has been lowered to 37. You can earn more before you move up. It's like the system finally caught up with common sense and decided to give retirees a little grace. Even the life expectancy tables, the ones the IRS uses to calculate how much you must withdraw, have been adjusted in our favor. When I was 72, I would have been forced to take out 3.9% of my savings each year. Now it's closer to 3.6%. That might sound small, but across years that's real flexibility, less forced taxation, more control. It's as if the system quietly said, "You've earned a gentler rhythm." But I know the fear doesn't disappear overnight. I still meet people who look me in the eye and say, "Stanley, what if taxes go up? Or what if I lose my spouse and end up paying more? Or what if these RMDs push me into higher Medicare premiums? Or even, what if my savings drain too fast?" I hear these worries every week, and I've had them myself. So let's talk about them, not from theory, but from life. The first fear is that taxes will rise. And sure, maybe someday they will, but history tells us the big jumps are rare, and the brackets we have today are among the most retiree-friendly we've ever had. The real danger isn't a sudden tax spike, it's inflation. Inflation eats quietly year by year while we're busy fearing the wrong enemy. The The second fear is widowhood. Losing your partner changes everything emotionally, spiritually, financially. Yes, single filers have narrower brackets, but they also often have lower expenses. The world adjusts, and so do we. The pain is real, but the financial hit is rarely catastrophic. The third fear, being pushed into a higher bracket by RMDs, is real but manageable. If your accounts have grown so much that your RMDs push you upward, my friend, that's a blessing disguised as a problem. You succeeded in building wealth. Now it's about learning to release it wisely. And the fourth fear, that RMDs will drain your accounts too fast, is perhaps the biggest myth of all. The new withdrawal tables are conservative. They require less than the old 4% safe withdrawal rule most planners recommend. Even in later years, when you withdraw more, that doesn't mean you must spend it. You can reinvest what you don't need, letting your money keep working for you. When I finally understood that, everything shifted. I stopped seeing RMDs as a thief and started seeing them as structure, a rhythm. A built-in reminder that life moves forward, that your money was meant to be used, not just hoarded. Retirement, I realized, isn't a finish line. It's a rhythm of giving, receiving, and trusting. So I began to live differently. I started to tame the wolf, as I like to say. 3 simple changes changed everything for me. First, I learned to feed the wolf early. I stopped following the old textbook rule of spending from my taxable accounts first. Instead, I took small, steady withdrawals from both taxable and pre-tax accounts earlier in retirement. Those gentle withdrawals reduced my future RMDs and spread my taxes more evenly across the years. It's like feeding the wolf small bites early, so it never grows too hungry to bite later. Second, I discovered the power of small conversions, not the dramatic kind that make headlines, just little Roth conversions year by year when my income was lower. I called them micro conversions. I did them patiently, almost like pruning a garden. Little by little, my pre-tax balance shrank, my tax-free accounts grew, and my future felt lighter. Third, and maybe most meaningful, I learned the joy of giving with purpose. When I turned 70 and a half, I learned about something called qualified charitable distributions, the ability to donate directly from my IRA to charity, satisfying my RMD without adding taxable income. The first time I did it, I gave to my church. The second time, to a local shelter. And the feeling was beyond words. For the first time, I wasn't just saving on taxes, I was witnessing the impact of my giving with my own eyes. That, my friends, is the kind of return you can't measure on a balance sheet. After more than 10 years of retirement, I've come to see this season of life differently. It's not an end, it's a rhythm. There are seasons of saving, of spending, of giving, of learning. The RMD is just part of that rhythm. It keeps you moving. It reminds you that you still have purpose, still have control, still have something to share. I remember sitting on my porch one evening, the sun setting low, a soft breeze blowing through the trees, and realizing, for the first time, I was at peace with my money. Not because I had the most, but because I finally understood it. I understood how to let it flow. I realized that peace doesn't come from control, it comes from clarity. When you understand the rules, they stop being cages. They become guideposts. So if you're listening to this and you're in your 50s or 60s, let me say this: you have time. You have time to learn, to plan, to act. Don't wait until the wolf is at the door. Feed it early. Learn the rules. Build a plan that works for your life, not just your balance sheet. Today's environment is one of the most retiree-friendly landscapes we've ever seen. Higher deductions, lower rates, later starting ages, smarter rules. All you need is understanding. Knowledge is the light that keeps the shadows away. When you stop fearing the system and start working with it, you'll find freedom in the very places you once felt trapped. I often tell people, retirement isn't about surviving. It's about leading, learning, and giving back. These are the years where wisdom matters more than income, where gratitude pays higher dividends than any stock. If you learn to walk with confidence, to plan with peace, you'll see that RMDs are not the big bad wolf of retirement. They're just another chapter in your story. And every chapter, if you live it well, brings a lesson, a blessing, and a reason to smile. So don't fear the wolf. Light your torch, walk with courage, and remember, you are the one in control. The wolf only has power if you run from it. I'm Stanley Wolfe, and after all these years of living, saving, and learning, I can tell you this. Retirement isn't the end of your earning years, it's the start of your learning years. Keep learning, keep giving, keep walking in wisdom, because your story and your peace are still being written. Thank you for listening. May your retirement be filled with purpose, peace, and the quiet joy of knowing that you've tamed the wolf and found your freedom.